revolved around the earth. These are what myths are about. But let's now look at some myths that you have. Tying KPIs to pay will increase performance. Oh, does it? You tie pay to KPIs, I'll tell you what the KPI stands for. Key Political Indicator. Yeah? Gee, if you paid me by that, guess what I would do? I would just keep on tuning the numbers, wouldn't you? You start doing things, unstrange things in the company because you're getting paid this way. And Jack Welch summed it up beautifully. Hey, you've got to perform in this area because that is what you're here for. It's a ticket to the game, as he calls it. That makes sense? I'm not going to pay you for that. Yeah, no. And folks, some of you in this room have got a balanced scorecard and you thought this was a clever idea. We'll break up the balanced scorecard, stick a couple of measures in there, put a bit of percentages in it, and this is how we'll pay people and reward them on bonuses. What you do is you kill the scorecard because now it's being manipulated all the time. You have a whole machine manipulating it. In fact, people spend more time manipulating the balanced scorecard than actually making money for the firm. Myth number 2, measures lead to better performance. Well, they don't. Most measures don't, in fact. Here's a moon. I mean, it's very topical, of course. We've had the transit of Venus. But here I've got a moon, and I've got a dark side. And I'm going to say to you, every performance measure has one. Now, you've got to work out how many measures have you got where there's actually no light side. It's all dark. I'll tell you one great measure KFC did. Hey, they thought in head office, this will be a good idea. We'll want to focus on waste chicken. So they had a competition, and a manager in Connecticut worked out how to win it. Very simple. He said to all staff, hey, what I want you to do, when a customer comes in and order chicken, get it out of the freezer and put it in the fryer. And they all looked at him strangely. Are you sure you know what you're doing, boss? I know exactly what I'm doing. And he won the prize. But next week he had no customers. Who wants a fast meal in 20 minutes? You know? So, an ambulance story for you. In a accident emergency department, they wanted to increase turnaround. So they said, we'll measure the treatment of all patients. You know, the young little kids with the skateboard accidents, you know, the big players who play that daft game called rugby, which is from New Zealand. I get shot every time I say that. And then, you know, and then, of course, the more serious people. So do you know what they did in the hospital? They thought, I can't stop the rugby player. The kids are screaming. They're going to have to come in. So what can we do? They said, I know what we can do. We'll get the ambulances and we'll hold them until we're ready. So they said to the ambulances, the paramedics, are you okay there? Can you look after the patient? And of course, the patient was very safe in their hands. But within 2 hours of operating, there was a whole queue of ambulances. And then they started telling the ambulance drivers, please could you circle the hospital? And then within 2 hours, it took 40 minutes for an ambulance to be free to collect somebody in a casualty situation. And it cost lives. And everybody went, oh no, what happened? Well, what happened was, if they'd understood the critical success factors, which are quite simple, timely treatment of critical patients, correct? So that's all you'd measure. You wouldn't measure the rugby player and the young kid. They can sit for 5 hours watching Andy Pandy videos, you know, and we won't measure them. All performance measures are KPIs. Well, they're not. And this is, it's been great for me because it's made me an income, a livelihood, telling people that KPIs are something different. If we can agree that not every measure surely is key to the business. I mean, that's basic stuff. You know, 101 management would be past that one. So then we've got PIs. So really, in your organisations, you've always had 2 measures, at least. And I say to you, there are some measures that are good at summarising overall, like customer satisfaction and so forth. And that is why we call it key result indicators. And what I'm saying to you, I want you to drill down to find the magic KPIs you have. And folks, you only need around 10 in your organisation, no more, of the real McCoy. And folks, I've already said, monthly measures will never change anything. Nothing monthly changes anything. Monthly reports should be quick and short. They don't do anything. They're information memorandums. We need reporting more frequently. And KPIs, another myth is that a KPI is financial and non-financial. In my 25 years studying this area, I've come up with one conclusion, and I have not yet had one person challenge me successfully on this. And that is, every KPI in Hong Kong, every KPI in any other country in the world, I tell you, is non-financial. Because when you put a Hong Kong dollar in front of a measure, you've quantified an activity that's taken place, correct? It's the activity that's the driver, and the dollars are a result of it. So let's call the dollars a result indicator, and let's peel the layers off and find the thing that really matters. And I've told you about the story. It is a brilliant story to understand. Go on or search on the internet. You'll find various articles that I've written about it. You know, we don't have the right measures. You know why? Because we've dreamed them up in an afternoon. We were told to find some measures for a team, and so we just grabbed them. They're not tied to anything, and that's the main problem. And in fact, a great author that I'd highly recommend has talked for the calling. He says we should have a chief measurement officer. And I urge everybody in finance here today to contemplate having somebody in your team that goes under special training to really understand performance measures. And then every measure that goes through the company has to be vetted through that person, because they're the people who understand the behavioural side to it. We want to revolutionise reporting. And one of the books that I really like is a book by Stephen Few. Who here has read any books from Stephen Few? Not many. So I would definitely have that book on your bookshelf. The other thing we need to focus on is have much more in daily and weekly reporting. We want to have really quick reporting. And folks, one of the biggest problems the accountants in this room face is that every month we try and search for the Holy Grail, a precise number for the performance, of that month. And I'll tell you now, it does not exist. As a finance team, your job is to get a true and fair number. Is that not correct? And once you've got to the true and fair number, you put your pen down, so to speak, and move on. Everybody here in this room should get their monthly reports done inside 3 working days. And leading companies around the world are doing it by 1 day. And in America, Cisco can produce a profit figure at any point in time in the month, and it's called virtual reporting. And that's all, again, through systems. And here's an example of the type of reporting that is happening. And those people who've got my book, you'll see this. It's a 1-page report, say, for a business unit. We're not going to allow them to write anything more than 1 page. Here's their commentary. No essay, not allowed. Nobody reads them anyway, correct? And no detail. We don't want people talking about the staff uniform variance of 2,000 Hong Kong dollars. And if that silly number goes up to the board, that's the first question they ask, isn't it? So we cut out the detail. And a little rule here is don't show an account code unless it's greater than 10% of the total spend. Amalgamate it into a category heading until you get down to about these number of lines. Error-free reporting. There are accountants here that are unfortunately producing reports that are error-prone. Who here has gone to the CEO and given a report that they've worked on 3 days in a row, late into the night? And you feel quite righteous, of course, when you've done that. And at 9 o'clock that morning, you give the report to the CEO. And folks, they don't read the first 3 pages. You know why? Because that's been copy and pasted from last month, correct? If you line it up to the light, it's the same paragraphs. So that's not I call that cheating. So,